YouTube, thank you so much for joining me. We are going to be watching, it just released on Netflix, a new WWE series. It is called WWE Unreal. And the entire meaning behind the series is basically a behind the scenes look at what's going on between the writers and the bookers, and just more of the creative side of things when it comes to pro wrestling and WWE. Really excited to actually get into the series because one of my loves and passions for a really long time has been writing and booking for pro wrestling. If any of you have ever followed anything on the channel here, you may have noticed some WWE gameplays over the years of like Universe Mode. When I was growing up, in the SmackDown vs. Raw games, all the time I used to play GM mode, which is pretty much just essentially a booking mode. You get to play as your own booker and set up your own matches, play throughout a year, and achieve awards or, basically fail as a booker. Whatever happens, happens. But I really like the idea of this series because it's something that we really would have never seen when Vince McMahon was around. You have to understand, when it was Vince McMahon's era and when it was Vince McMahon's kind of WWE, he liked keeping a lot of things still secretive, and a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, you really didn't get access to that a lot of the time, especially when I was growing up, because a lot of those things, they were just not as main focused on as what you would see in terms of like actual in-ring content or actual actual wrestling, from like a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. Really not going to see like a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, like how are we setting up, WrestleMania matches, or what goes into something like The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania. Um, any kind of like big stories or any kind of big, thing that they want to kind of focus on. But really, the episode one, there's actually 5 episodes. Each one is about 55 minutes to an hour, so I figure each day we're going to watch one episode each. Tonight we're just going to watch the one episode, and episode one is called New Era. So speaking of that, Triple H, it's his era. It's his era now, and it's his new era of WWE entertainment. And we're basically shifting focus towards how he wants to approach things and kind of bring a wider audience towards what he's trying to accomplish. Like I said, I love the idea behind it because I've always wanted to be a writer and a booker in pro wrestling. So I'm really looking forward to getting into this series. We are going to start off with episode 1 here, which is called New Era. Thank you again, everybody, for joining me tonight. We are only live streaming on YouTube. It's not available on Twitch or anywhere else, mainly because I still haven't purchased a laptop. I don't really have my streaming set up right now. So we're still trying to make do with what we got. At least we got the phone here and we're able to do this. Tonight we're going to watch episode 1 of WWE Unreal. I don't know if we're going to get to an episode tomorrow. We might or we might not. I might have to do it really early if we do. Thursday I'm actually going to be watching an episode or two of season 2 of Twisted Metal, because I really love that series as well on Peacock. Twisted Metal Season 2 coming out, so I'm going to be watching that on Thursday. Not doing a watch-along to that. I'm just doing a watch-along to WWE Unreal because, like I said, I love writing and booking and pro wrestling. Always something I've wanted to do. And because we're celebrating 200 subscribers. Recently achieved that goal on the channel here, so thank you very much to anybody watching. Anybody who contributed to that or had anything to do with our goal recently of reaching 200 subscribers, thank you so much. We are now going for 300. That is the next one. And when we get to 300, I'll try to think of something fun for us to do again. But this is just a little way of us to chill, get some content on the channel. And like I said, I always wanted to see stuff like this when I was growing up. So it's really nice to get the opportunity now, thanks to people like Triple H and his deal with, the partnerships that they have currently with TKO, UFC, friggin' Netflix. All these things are happening now, and we're having the opportunity to watch it. So I am not going to try the show to TV because I know a lot of people want me to, or a lot of people want me to show actual video feed from the TV. I cannot. Due to copyright reasons, I cannot do that. So you're just going to pretty much hear the audio playing in the background. And I'll do my commentary over it when I feel the need to. But at the same time, maybe one day when I figure things out with the laptop and basically the streaming setup and where we want to move forward, we'll try to figure some things out with, how do we change the quality of the streams and the watch-alongs and whatnot. But right now I don't have a laptop. Like I said, you guys are really just watching this off my phone right now, thankfully. We have the ability to do that, at least. So, we are going to get right into it. This is episode 1 of WWE Unreal, new series on Netflix, just released today. Like I said, I'll probably do episode 1 tonight. Don't know if I'm going to be able to do an episode tomorrow. Maybe, maybe not. If I do, it'll have to be pretty early. Thursday, I'm watching season 2 of Twisted Metal. Gonna try to watch an episode or 2 of that. Friday, we're going to definitely watch another episode of this. I don't know if I'm going to be watching SmackDown that night, but I definitely want to watch another episode of WWE Unreal here on Netflix. And then Saturday and Sunday, we pretty much got SummerSlam. I'm not doing a watch-along or anything to that here on the channel either. It's in New Jersey, which is nice. That's fairly close to me here in Buffalo, New York. But I'm not going to be doing a watch-along or anything. Like I said, this watch-along specifically is in celebration of reaching 200 subscribers recently, so thank you again so much to anybody who contributed to that or helped out with that. That really means a lot to me. Like I said, our next goal on the channel here is going to be 300, so once we reach 300, I'll try to figure out something cool for us to do once we get to that goal. So, right now, it's WWE Unreal, and we're trying to make it happen the way that we can, while YouTube is, not gonna be trying to take our videos down or whatever. You know what I mean? So hopefully you guys can hear that. Hopefully the fan isn't too annoying in the background either. Just got the fan on the AC running right now.
In this business, like everybody has a million names. Obviously my real name's Paul Levesque, but nobody in the business called me that until only a few years ago. But, a lot of guys also call me Hunter. A lot of guys call me Triple H. A lot of guys call me H. A lot of guys call me Trips.
I hate stopping and going sometimes, but I feel like it's necessary sometimes for these kind of videos because it allows me to actually keep it on the channel instead of YouTube getting their panties in a bunch. But it's interesting how Triple H actually starts this off by talking about, names in the business. How you earn a name, what people call you, different names you've had throughout your career. You're constantly evolving your character. But the interesting thing enough, I got into, pro wrestling at a very young age. Some of you may not know this, some of you may. My brother, who is way older than me, born in 1985, he was doing backyard wrestling when I was growing up. So in one way or another, I was kind of always around it. And when I was growing up, I had the privilege of being able to, not only be around it, but I feel like when I was like 3 years old, 4 years old, I was looking at it way differently from any other kids at the time. So when I actually became interested enough in it and when I actually wanted to learn more about it, again, when I was growing up, there wasn't a Peacock, there wasn't a WWE Network, nothing like that was available. You're talking about the late 90s to like the early 2000s here. So when I was growing up, anything that I didn't know, I pretty much had to teach myself, and I pretty much had to learn on my own because that information just wasn't accessible to me. When I figured out, okay, I'm interested in learning more about the business, I'm interested in learning more about behind the scenes, I would always ask myself, well, who are people like Triple H? Who are people like Vince McMahon? Who is The Rock? Who is The Undertaker? How did they all get to be in this one place? I wanted to know how everything worked at this fucking age. Like I said, this is way different than any other kid is probably looking at it at that time. But when I was 3-4 years old, I knew Triple H was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and I knew Hunter Hearst Helmsley was Paul Levesque. And how did Paul Levesque end up in the WWF at the time when I was watching it? He basically followed his dreams, learned, he was trained by Arn Anderson, ended up in the WCW. They didn't want him. I think he also wasn't happy with a lot of the characters he had over there, like Terra Rising and whatnot. But they pretty much, it wasn't working out with Triple H and WCW. Ended up in the WWF, where he became Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and the rest is history. Uh, Literally. Marries the boss's daughter, and now is the chief operator of the WWE.
Back 20, 30 years ago, you never talked about somebody outside of their characters. The world has changed.
And he's also saying, at the very beginning, he's saying, 20, 30 years ago, you didn't talk about somebody outside of their character. You didn't know wrestlers outside of their characters. When it was the 80s, especially early 90s, I'm going to say, especially into some of the time when I was growing up, little bit not, but 80s for sure, and then early 90s, you didn't really mention these characters, you didn't know much about them outside of what you've seen on television. So their personal lives, anything that they did outside of what the fuck you've seen on television or whatever, it didn't really matter to you, or the fans just didn't really care about it that much. It really wasn't that big of a point of interest, during those periods of time. Now, sure, you had some controversial topics going on and whatnot. Obviously, throughout the course of history of pro wrestling, there's always going to be periods of time where you can look at, okay, what if we focus on this, this was bad, or this happened, or that happened. But at the same time, it's all evolved to the point where now you have so many people watching it from, okay, what is happening behind the scenes? How are these characters being created? The characters over time have changed so much, right? You've had the characters change from the WWF's kind of funny Sunday morning kind of cartoonish characters. Everybody's a policeman or a firefighter, to now more realistic characters, right? The characters are more based in reality. They use some of their real names, or it's kind of a play on their real name. The characters are more realistic, right? You have people who are not so much, I'm trying to be the greatest policeman and also the greatest pro wrestler. It's not the big boss man anymore. You now have, history and lineage, and there's family history throughout the pro wrestling tree and whatnot. So all these things have evolved throughout time, and it's gotten to a point now where people, they care more about the characters in terms of, okay, well, we want to see what Roman Reigns is outside of wrestling. We want to see what Cody Rhodes does outside of wrestling, or just away from the pro ring. Because, I don't know, some people just want to see these guys a day in the life or whatnot. This is more of like, creatively, how do we set up these matches and tell these stories effectively enough to where it's going to be successful, long term, and also build on everybody's characters that are involved with the story.
People that aren't fans think like, isn't that just a bunch of guys pretending to fight? You got it knocked out in your head. I believe that our business is actually more complex than anybody understands. Tell them to go now. This is a calculated, coordinated production. 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
And that's always the part that interested me too. That's really why I'm watching this series a lot. Like Triple H says, it's really a coordinated professional production. Imagine a Hollywood set, right? Imagine making a movie, or what a Hollywood Studios is doing. Everything is live, and at that moment, right? If you mess up, people are going to see it live, your peers, whatever happens is going to happen. But to get it live, to do it when you're supposed to do it, and to kind of, hit those keys each time you're supposed to hit the key is kind of what's always impressed me, and that's what I've always loved about it too. To me, it's almost like a Hollywood Studios when it's time to film a scene or something. You have to do everything so perfect timing and so smoothly. You know, you have to. If you mess up, you're gonna fucking mess up in front of an audience of thousands of people watching you, not only in the arena but worldwide on television. So that's kind of on you. In a movie studio, you know, it's a little bit more fucking. It's a little bit more taken back because everything is, you know, not shown to the public as much, right? And that's what we're saying. It's like movie studios, they're not allowed to show you a lot of the behind the scenes stuff as much, right? You kind of see it, but you kind of don't, right? You kind of see it, but you kind of don't. WWE is showing us a lot more now. WWE is starting to show us, okay, you want to see how we're coming up with these stories, or you want to see the writers, or you want to see the creative team actually sitting down and coming up with these ideas every week. This is how it is.
Baby, show business. The story never ends.
You guys had no idea, right? No.
And as we enter into a new era here, there are a million things to figure out. We have one of the all-time greats coming back for a retirement run. We have incredible performers still in their prime. We have storylines that are years in the making. Young talent that will become that next generation of superstars. I won't put a rocket on your ass. Everybody wants a spot. But there are only so many available.
Oh my god, yeah, I fucking peed myself.
That is the biggest challenge. It's like putting together a puzzle, but the pieces are always moving. Oh, God. We're going to lift the curtain. We're going to show you things you've never seen in this show. Oh, no. For the first time ever, we're going to show you how the story unfolded before your eyes.
I was so scared not to come back. It's good enough for the fans.
Fucking losing everything. You've always been the main event guy. I don't get it without you. Thank you.
I need your soul.
Ready? Here it is. Two camera. Just getting started, man.
Episode 1, New Era. Georgia 2024. Hey! Yeah! And it fucking starts off with Cody Rhodes. You want to know something, ladies and gentlemen? I do agree with the WWE Universe, alright? Cody Rhodes is the best at losing to John Cena.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah.
You want to do some Christmas stuff today? You want to put ornaments on the tree?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Put this
You want to put this guy?
Shawn Michaels.
Gingerbread Shawn Michaels. He was my favorite wrestler. All right, so
He
we're...
looked just like that too, like gingerbread.
Yeah, he was made of gingerbread. They used to call it sweet chin music because of the gingerbread.
My name is Cody Runnels, and my wrestling name and what I go by, and pretty much I've gone by my whole life, is Cody Rhodes.
Libby thinks that Cody is a professional dancer.
Because she saw entrances, which is the big music and the lighting, I think she thinks there's a component of dancing to it, and has asked me before, are you going to go dancing? Will you be dancing? And I think she's even said when we showed her a couple clips on YouTube, oh, this is the dancing. It's not the worst parallel.
It's not the worst parallel. In many ways, it can be compared to a dance, right? You are in there with a partner, you both are putting on this performance for an audience, and it is sometimes, you know, choreographed or pieces of it planned out and whatnot, but at the same time, it's very imaginative that Cody's children don't really know that he's out there taking his bumps and his bruises for a living, and instead of I mean, maybe they've seen some of the stuff with The Rock, or maybe his AEW stuff. I don't know. They need to maybe see those matches. You know, maybe one day Cody and Uncle Goldust will sit down and show them the AEW bloodbath. You never know. It'll be like a Thanksgiving thing. Instead of watching the football game, they're gonna watch Cody Rhodes versus Goldust from AEW in like 2018 or 2019.
I'm good with that. If when asked what Papa does for a living, I'm a dancer. For my daughter, I'd be the best dang dancer I possibly can be. My role in WWE is that I am currently the undisputed WWE champion.
The American Nightmare is here!
It is a role that is kind of the hood.
How the fuck is that Cody's character, first of all? How the fuck are we gonna start it off like that? No, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but fuck this guy. Listen, how the fuck is that the entire character? You can't tell me, Cody, your entire character is the WWE champion. I'm not here. No, listen, rest in peace to Hulk Hogan, but that doesn't work for me, brother. I'm gonna fucking tell you this right now, Cody Rhodes. Listen, your dad wasn't even the WWE champion. What are you talking about, Cody? Your fucking character in 2025 moving forward is gonna be the WWE champion for the WWE universe? No, listen, Cody, you gotta change the gimmick. You gotta fucking, I don't know, come out wearing some Ultimate Warrior face paint, something. Listen, buddy, load up the rocket fuel, but your entire character cannot be based on being the WWE champion. We all know, too, our current champion right now is John Cena with the Farewell Tour. That's great and all. I really hope we don't get another year of Cody Rhodes. I'm just saying, because that would kind of not be also the most entertaining thing. It got boring to me after a while with the Cody Rhodes shit. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like Cody. I know I'm bashing on him right now. I know I'm giving him a hard time. I'm busting his balls a little bit, but the character is just not working for me. The promos don't work for me. The match qualities haven't been that great. I mean, at WrestleMania, he shows up and he puts on a good match. Don't get me wrong. At least, he can fucking do that with the amount of money that they're paying him. But, everything else, I mean, has kind of just been okay or lackluster. You guys got to understand, too, I've been watching Cody Rhodes for a very long time. A very long time. He, to me, is still legacy Cody Rhodes. When they first kind of introduced him with Randy and Ted DiBiase, I still see him as that, because that's the Cody that I always knew growing up. So that's still the Cody that I know. He is not the champion or the main guy that I think everybody makes him out to be. Cody is good. He's a good wrestler. He's a good entertainer. Is he main event quality? Sure, at times. I don't think he should be the fucking face of the company. Is he main event quality? Sure. Has he had some entertaining rivalries? A few at times, right? That's why he's been the main guy, because they've been able to put him with the best that they have to offer. So that's why he's been their main guy at times, because he's been able to work everybody that they've been able to give him. And that's another thing too that kind of makes you, the top person in the company, or the top wrestler in the company at times, is can you work with whoever the company gives you, right? Let's say they want to make you champion a year, 2 years, undefeated, whatever. In those amount of 2 years, you have to face the top number one contenders. Whoever they're going to throw at you, you have to be able to work with that. And for some people it works, for some people it doesn't. Some people have been able to do it, and some others have not. Cody Rhodes has been interesting. Cody Rhodes has been interesting. I mean, I gotta be honest, for me, it's like Cody is more, I would rather see him work in the mid-card stuff with, a United States Championship. Get that shit away from, a Logan Paul. Get that shit away from, a LA Knight. That's where kind of Cody belongs. I can see him work in the main event picture. I'm not going to talk too much about SummerSlam right now because that's not really the point of the video. Him and John Cena, again, is kind of ridiculous to me too, but it's whatever. He won fucking King of the Ring over Randy Orton. Like I said, we're not going to talk about too much about the bullshit that's been happening. That's another thing with the writing that I haven't liked. Considering we're talking about the writing and the fucking booking here, you know, those are a lot of the things that I haven't liked, right? Those are a lot of the things that I've just been not so much a fan of, and I've definitely disliked more of than actually enjoyed. Actually, last year in 2024, I remember really taking a step back and not being involved as much. I really didn't get involved again until probably around the road to WrestleMania. I think that was around January of this year. So, you know, last year, fuck, I mean, I may have watched, I don't know, some things here and there, just little things, as you know, but really, I can't even tell you a lot of the Cody Rhodes stuff that I enjoyed from his time as champion. So it's been, you know, I've seen the WrestleMania stuff, and obviously we've done that here on the channel, but really, yeah, Cody Rhodes has not really been my main focus on the writing and the booking aspect of it, because that's a lot of the stuff that I do dislike right now. So we're gonna see what they have to say, though.
Kind of the hood ornament for the company. I get to be one of the most authentic, if not the most authentic wrestlers of this era, simply for the fact that I play myself.
Again, like I said before, wrestlers now playing more realistic characters, right? Cody just said, I'm playing myself. That's who he wants to be. He wants to be the face of the company, sure. And if that involves him being the WWE champion, maybe. I don't know. I'm not trying to develop the Cody Rhodes character, but fucking, as Cody Rhodes is saying, you know, more characters now are based in reality. Cody is playing himself. He's not fucking playing a superhero. He's not the Hurricane. He's Cody Rhodes.
I am myself.
Cody is the closest thing right now, I think, that we have to just a pure babyface. That spot, in my opinion, probably the most difficult spot in the business right now.
I mean, Cody, yeah. Cody can pull off the pure babyface. Let's be honest here. He can. I'll give Triple H credit on that one, because it is difficult for a lot of guys, especially to evoke a lot of the reactions sometimes. When you're working with a lot of the villains or a lot of the bad guys in pro wrestling, they're going to do things to you that's pretty brutal and pretty damaging. And if the audience isn't invested in your character as a good guy, or they just genuinely don't give a fuck, then there's no payoff, right? So Cody, he can work the babyface extremely well. I give them credit for that, because there have been moments where he has been able to do more, getting more of a reaction out of the crowd when needed be than more wrestlers at times. I feel like, yeah, Cody, definitely, you can put him in a position where it's like, okay, we need to really fucking get a babyface over, just get the bad guy over, something, you know, to make that character get more heat. We're going to have to do real damage to a babyface, and Cody is really the kind of character you can kind of do that to get some heat on your villain or whatnot. So I give Triple H credit for saying that, because, yeah, there's not a lot of babyfaces that you could probably do that to today where it would really fucking work. I mean, obviously, if they did it to, like, a Liv Morgan, people would have, like, the same kind of reaction, I feel like. There's certain ones, you know, there's really just certain ones, because not everybody, like I said, is gonna be able to get that reaction or just that overall compassion from the audience when they need to.
Easy to be a bad guy. Tell people a bunch of convoluted shit that seems reasonable to you, and that's fun and easy. Just to be the guy that does the right thing all the time and overcomes and always succeeds. People start to feel it's predictable. People start to feel like it's like nobody's that good. You know, it's a tough thing.
I felt like
like such a.
I mean, just think about, like, I think about now, a lot of the one thing that I've seen them doing a lot recently, like, I don't know what the fuck is going on with the writing team or why they're always doing this. Somebody is always getting fucking ran over in the WWE. I don't know who's passing out the fucking driving licenses over here or who's giving out the fucking rentals, the car rentals, but somebody backstage is always fucking getting ran over. I don't know what the fuck is going on here, who's writing this shit, but somebody is always getting fucking ran over. I've noticed that a lot. Jokingly, but I don't know, man. It's like I've seen that happen so much to like other characters, and it's just like, you know, like people just like kind of blow it off. You know what I mean? Like even just like, I think that happened to who was it? I think it was Jade. I think Jade got attacked by Naomi recently. They like took her out. It was like this whole kind of like bullshit injury, kind of like storyline and whatnot. And then obviously Jade came back and attacked Naomi, and now they're still running with that storyline and whatnot. But it's like certain things happen to other characters, and there's not so much of a compassion. There's not so much of an effect, because I could say right now, okay, we're gonna fucking, you know, think of somebody like LA Knights, you know, like a mid-card guy right now who maybe you could try pushing into the main event. Think of somebody that you could try to push into that main event. Okay, now you need something to happen to them that's going to really fucking put them over with the bad guy, right? What are we going to be able to do for the WWE recently? Like I said, I don't know what the writers are doing. It's been running people over backstage with the fucking car rentals. I don't know who's giving out the driving licenses. I don't know who's policing or securing the fucking parking lots backstage, but we got to get some order going on here. But you could say right now, let's say LA Knight gets ran over by whoever the fuck he's in a rivalry with. How many people are really going to give a fuck? How many people are really going to give a fuck? I know I wouldn't give a fuck. This is just an idea that I'm throwing out there. But if it did happen, are you gonna do the thing where they take LA Knight away for like a couple weeks, he comes back, he starts fucking building up the match for the pay-per-view and shit? Or are you gonna do the thing where, okay, he gets ran over, comes back later the next night, he's limping and shit? I don't know. It's just stupid shit. It's like shit like that. You can't really keep doing it and keep trying to have the same effect. That's another thing too that they've done a lot recently. Which I've noticed, you know, it's a lot of the same repetitive kind of things, but like different characters. Same kind of scenario, but like different characters. Which, you know, I'm not saying that doesn't happen in wrestling or that's not okay or anything. It's definitely something that's happened throughout the course of history. But at the same time, it kind of loses its effect and it kind of loses its value, because if it didn't work the first time with these couple characters and then we kind of see it again with these other characters and it doesn't really work, and now you're trying it again with these kind of characters and it's still not fucking working, I don't know. The writers kind of gotta try to fucking do some Houdini shit where they were fucking putting people in straitjackets and trying to have them do magic jackets and shit in a fucking tank filled with water, because you probably have a better reaction trying to get shit like that. And at times it is a bit of a magic show, right? You are trying to really, you're trying to give the audience something that they're going to remember and something that they're going to talk about at the end of the night. That's the biggest thing in general. Whether it's, you know, how did the show end? Was it a good match on the card? Did you see a rivalry advance to the next chapter? Things of that nature.
Yeah.
As white meat as you can be.
Yeah.
As fucking white meat as you can be.
Be that way until we can't anymore, you know?
Yeah, it ain't going anywhere. Now we just gotta navigate it. That's our fucking job. Our job, me, you, fucking everybody. But we navigate this now and figure out where we need to get it. But at some point here in a minute, I need to get pictures of that.
Okay.
One of my favorite ones ever.
There's a huge difference between being a wrestler and the WWE champion. I've seen Cody through every one of those seasons, and this by far, the demand of the job is unimaginable.
And it is true. I will tell you right now, when you are the WWE champion, you are the face of the company for a reason. They want you to do interviews. They want you to do talk shows. They want you to do podcasts. Wherever you got to be to represent the company, you got to be there. You got to represent the company, and they expect you to represent them the way that they want to be represented because you are the WWE champion. And that is why being the WWE champion is such an honor. That is why it is only given out to certain characters or certain wrestlers because it is not a fucking job for everybody. Now, we say it all the time, right? If it was so easy, everybody would do it. And that's exactly kind of what it's like to be a WWE champion. It's not easy and not everybody can do it. It doesn't work for everybody. There may be a lot of wrestlers in the field. There may be a lot of people who want to be the WWE champion. It's not a job for everybody, okay? And that is why only certain criteria, very specific people, very rare kind of, champions are going to be chosen to represent the WWE. Especially their main champion, their World Heavyweight Champion, a WWE champion, if you will. Who has been the worst WWE champion? Man, I mean, there's been a couple. I don't want to fucking, burn any bridges or really say, okay, let's let's take a step back here and think about that. But I mean, you could say there's definitely been a couple. I'd probably say maybe somebody like the Great Khali, just based off of not really the most entertaining and not really the, from a promo perspective and as a character perspective, I'd probably put somebody up there like the Great Khali is like the worst WWE champion of all time. And then, you got like your funny shit. Bob Backlund, maybe somebody would say fucking, I don't know, just stupid things. But I would probably say for me, I think I can remember the Great Khali being WWE champion. I think he was WWE champion and World Heavyweight champion. But for me, that would definitely be like one of the worst WWE champions. Certain things he did as a character kind of worked with his giant gimmick, but again, just not really, wasn't technical. He wasn't fucking cutting the best promos. Match quality too, just garbage. Really could probably do without the Great Khali as a WWE champion run. If I had to say my worst WWE champion of all time, I'd probably throw the Great Khali up there. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure the Great Khali in reality is a nice guy and everything. I think he killed somebody at one point. I know he was a police officer, but yeah, I mean, just in terms as a pro wrestler, not really gonna do it for me. You know what I mean? I can't really say, and that was Vince McMahon era type shit. But yeah, I can't really say that was a character that I was happy seeing as the face of the company. You know what I mean?
I'm incredibly lucky that my wife and I met in wrestling. Otherwise, she would have left. She knows what this push is. She knows what it could mean for the future. And she knows what it means right here and now. People say it all the time, the face of the company. Yeah. When people say that, my heart skips a beat. Because I always wanted to be that. I just didn't know I could. There you go, look, it's perfect.
A lot of people don't know it, Cody. A lot of people don't know it until they get that paycheck in the mail.
So, January 6th, the premiere on Netflix for Raw.
And now we're actually going to the writer's room, which, if I was fucking hired by the WWE, I'd probably spend most of my life here. I'd probably have to live there. I'd probably have to have a little fucking room with a shower and, you know, some kind of a fridge. I'd have a whole little headquarters in the writer's room.
Massively important for this company.
So this is pretty much the writer's room, and they're talking about the Netflix Raw premiere. This is the meeting that they're having before the Raw premiere on Netflix. So probably going to be some big discussions here. What do we want to do? What's some things that Netflix is going to allow? What are they not going to allow?
Putting us on a platform that is, 300 million homes in that ballpark globally. It's a lot of people.
Wow, I mean, and this deal alone, you know, we're talking, like Triple H says here, we're talking a deal with Netflix. You're going to potentially end up in around 300 million homes around the world. You know, this is worldwide. This is not just the United States. This is all over the globe. This is a deal with Netflix where they're going to promote your stuff. It's going to be right on their front page when somebody logs in, somebody signs into Netflix. That's 300 million homes around the world. That's the type of deal that Triple H is going for right here with Netflix. That's a big one. That is a big one. I hope one day Netflix does look at SmackDown and they do consider maybe even doing some PLEs. Obviously, to my generation, the pay-per-views. And the big events, like maybe a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam, something of that nature. I would really like to see it. We already pay a fucking tremendous amount for Netflix. The Peacock and NBC thing is kind of okay. I haven't really been a fan of it. SmackDown, I liked more when SmackDown had to deal with Fox. I thought that was really big because we were getting a lot of the fucking viewers from Fox, and a lot of good deals have come with Fox Sports. So I really liked when SmackDown was that. Now, obviously, SmackDown on USA, because WWE has always worked with USA Network. Now, Monday Night Raw no longer on USA, now Raw on Netflix. I think over time, though, SmackDown, Raw, the PLEs, your big events like a WrestleMania, SummerSlam, all of that, it really should end up on something like a Netflix. I think over time, that is kind of a bigger advancement moving forward, because the Peacock thing to me and the NBC thing to me, it hasn't really been working. Maybe their deal is a little bit, well, obviously it's going to be way different. The WWE has to be getting a way bigger cut and a way bigger portion for whatever they're putting out there on Peacock and NBC right now than fucking Netflix, because on Netflix they only have like a couple shows. You know what I mean? It's only Raw and it's only like stuff like this right now. So obviously, when they're bringing all those viewerships and all those subscriptions to a Peacock, because you're having things like WrestleMania or a 2-night SummerSlam event, and now people are watching that, everybody's, you know, has to have a Peacock subscription and whatnot. I'm sure WWE's cut for that is a little bit different than what they're doing with Netflix right now, but that's why we're looking at over time and long term, because it's like, you know, Netflix really has the ability and the audience, I think, over time to bring in more of a success and more of a trade than anything that Peacock or NBC are doing right now. I'm just going to be honest with you. Not to say that it hasn't been successful, because it has. Obviously, people have been watching WrestleMania for like the past, fucking 40 years. So it's like, you know, obviously whatever they're doing with Peacock and NBC is fine, but I'm talking about for the future and moving forward.
Yes. Paul is our chief content officer. His experience as being a former superstar for so many years has kind of helped aid him as a performer. He was great.
Triple H with a pedigree. Triple H wins the title.
He was a student of the game.
Tonight, an army to take,
you know, kind of understood the bigger picture of storytelling.
I really hope we don't get copyright for them playing the Motorhead Triple H theme here. No, we're good. I'm talking throughout the video. But I really do appreciate Triple H stepping into this role as the chief operator, the chief content creator for the WWE, pretty much assuming the role of a Vince McMahon now. I kind of always knew growing up it was going to most likely come down to him and Stephanie after Vince, you know, stepped down or stepped away or whatever. Never really thought it was going to go to Shane. I kind of already talked about this in my Vince McMahon watch along when Netflix did that series. But I'm really happy that Triple H is in the position that he's in right now, because I know he cares so much about the quality, and he knows how to treat his wrestlers, right? He knows, and I'm not saying that everybody is going to get the fucking king and queen treatment. I'm not saying that everybody has to be fucking royalty or whatever. But it's like he knows, you know, a little bit more what goes into it. If somebody is having a hard time, or characters aren't getting over, or things aren't really working out the way that they should, he kind of understands that a little bit more, because he's been in that position throughout his entire career, right? So he's going to have somebody that's, you know, Vince McMahon was a businessman, okay? Vince McMahon was a businessman. He knew how to conduct business. He knew how to fucking do pro wrestling extremely well, and he was extremely successful with that. Triple H, what do we know Triple H as? He was a pro wrestler first, and then he became a businessman, right? So he was a pro wrestler first. He knows what is going to need to be done to really ensure the safety, I think the overall health, the you know, I mean, I've heard so many horrible stories growing up of how pro wrestlers have been treated or just, you know, terrible situations, and it's led to just, you know, drug abuse or just deaths and suicides and whatnot. And it's so sad when you hear some of these stories. I think the great thing now about having Triple H in the WWE, he's really trying to change a lot of that landscape, and he's really trying to take care of these wrestlers a lot differently than kind of how Vince and his way of operating and treating them was. And not to say that Vince never offered rehab or help for the wrestlers, because he did, right? For a lot of, we hear those stories too. When people fell into certain situations and they needed help, Vince McMahon did offer them help, and he tried to get them help. It's really up to the person at that point to kind of do what they need to do in life to be better and to change their way of life. But I think with the way that Triple H is handling things now, with the way that he designs his characters, with the way that he kind of builds his characters, he has rosters, and I hate to talk about hours, but this is just how much I love it, and I could sit here for hours and talk about this shit with you guys. But he designs things where it's now like he has rosters, or he'll do Monday Night Raw and SmackDown where, like, drafts to me don't even matter anymore. It's like we just want to have certain characters or certain stories that we can tell each week, or that we can just put on a card each week, because there's no point in having a fucking 40-person, 50-person roster if half of that roster is sitting out or on the sidelines the entire time. Yeah, you can use them when something comes up like an injury or something big. They're always there for that. But really now, I mean, I've seen it cut down so much. On the PLEs, you're even getting, you know, on PLEs, you're getting maybe 4 or 5 matches, which is great. Because that's, you know, just showcasing you, okay, these are the main stories that we want to tell you. This isn't anything else. If you don't see a wrestler there, booked or on that card, it's for a reason, right? Because they feel like, okay, this isn't a story right now that people are going to care about, or this isn't something right now that we can go with. I don't think that the WWE necessarily needs a roster of 50-person each, like 50 people on Raw, 50 people on SmackDown, fucking 100 people paying them every week, and sometimes you're not even using these people. It's like, just use the fucking characters and the wrestlers that you want to use every week, or try to build up. Just focus on main things, and that's kind of what I do in my universe mode, or my kind of booking. Whenever you see me do a GM mode or anything on my channel, I've built it to where it's certain branches, or just certain divisions, I like to say. Certain divisions where you're focusing on just certain superstars and certain aspects. Your tag team division, your women's division, you have your mid-card division, you have your main eventers, right? Who's going to be our main champion? Who's going to be going after the champion? Shit like that. And focus on those characters, right? Build off of that. Don't fucking just go out signing everybody because, oh, this guy is the greatest wrestler on the indie circuit. We got to get him on the roster. Now they sign him. They don't got anything for this guy to do because they've been building up everybody else.
Now he's brought that to his role as chief content officer here. I think Cody doesn't have like a role in this show. I think he's been eyeballing this show as far as like want to be a part of it.
Yes, yeah. You know, he hits me fucking every day up. With Cody Rhodes, the bigger the star, the more you want to provide some scarcity of their star power to keep them as big as they are. So it's special when Cody Rhodes is there and fans see that and feel that and they're anticipating your return even more. So you have to know where everything is going long-term and way in advance. So we tend to...
And that's another thing we're talking about too here, the booking. Now they're showing basically a calendar. This is November of 2024. You see everything laid out. It literally looks like a universe mode calendar if you're playing universe mode right now. But essentially Triple H is talking about, okay, when we make a booking or Cody Rhodes is going to have an appearance, we know that that's going to be big because people want to fucking see Cody Rhodes, right? Maybe Cody Rhodes isn't going to be at your WWE house show, and if you don't know what a house show is, you should look it up because that's pretty much just a live event that isn't on television. It's not a Monday Night Raw, it's not a SmackDown, it's a house show. It's live, but it's not on television. It's, you may not see Cody Rhodes. I remember when I was growing up, I seen a lot of house shows. Thank God we had John Cena there because he fucking worked his ass off to really entertain people, but he was in house shows in Buffalo, and I'm sure they do house shows in a little bit smaller areas. Like, I don't really know, but think about it like, okay, let's say for some reason instead of Buffalo they go to Rochester, right? Cody Rhodes may not make an appearance in Rochester. He may make an appearance in Buffalo, but he may not make the appearance in Rochester. Maybe Niagara Falls. I don't know. I don't know the last time WWE went to Niagara Falls for a live event, but it was a long time ago, maybe the 2000s. But it was like, yeah, it's Cody Rhodes is going to be booked and he's going to make appearances when the company feels like, okay, we need this character here because this is going to be big, this is going to be the effect that we're looking for. He's going to wrestle at this PLE, right? That's going to be his match. We're going to do things where it's like he's going to be at specific shows because these audiences draw. Okay? If they're going to hear in Chicago that CM Punk is going to be there, they're most likely going to book fucking CM Punk at the Chicago show because people are going to show up to see CM Punk.
Break it down sort of into seasons. The season will start with January 6th, the Netflix premiere. We'll do the weekly television shows.
Now, I like how he's talking about the new season here for the new era of WWE. He basically just said the new season of WWE has started with the premiere of Raw on Netflix, which was January 6th. We are way ahead of that now. Looking back on it, we are way ahead of that premiere. So it's definitely come a long way, but the new season has definitely taken off. Oops.
Along the way, Royal Rumble, which kicks off the road to WrestleMania, we will do which continues that road to WrestleMania, and then we will get to WrestleMania itself, which is it.
I think there's some trouble with the audio right now. I'm not too sure. But basically, Triple H is showing the season and the calendar year for basically what they have planned moving forward. He basically said, from January, from the premiere of Netflix, they move into the road to WrestleMania.
Basically, it's our Super Bowl. Along the way, you're building up these storylines. Obviously, the biggest storylines revolve around our biggest stars. Chief among them being Cody Rhodes. But John Cena is coming back for one last year of a retirement run. Arguably one of the greatest performers in the history of our business. And the return of John is a wonderful thing and a challenge at the same time.
My name is John Cena. The name I use in the ring is John Cena. My government name is John Cena.
It's John Cena, the 17-time GOAT I got to see John Cena many times live. Never got to meet him in person, unfortunately. Would love to do that, but John Cena was my generation's Hulk Hogan. It's great now to see him working a lot with DC and doing the Peacemaker stuff. I really like that. But John Cena has really, played his entire character. He's really been himself throughout his entire career. Because when he was the Doctor of Thugonomics, when he was doing his entire hip-hop persona, that was an expression of himself. That was a character based on himself. And then moving forward, whether it was hustle, loyalty, respect, whether it was his kind of soldier gimmick, his current kind of gimmick, everything has been pretty much based in his reality. So John Cena has always been a character of himself.
Wrestling is the foundation of the house of my family relationship. I grew up in a family of 5 boys, and wrestling was our conduit. It was our connection system. I appreciate this as my hobby. It's the best of imagination land. Not only did I do it during my free time, but I paid to do it.
That I am the future of this business.
So I would do this for free. I just physically can't do it anymore.
Cody Rhodes has, in many ways, kind of inherited that mantle from John Cena. And
get the
Cody
fuck out of
understood.
here, WWE. Stop trying to put this guy over in your Netflix series. I am sick of trying to put Cody Rhodes over John Cena. This is some bullshit. At SummerSlam this Saturday, Sunday, whatever fucking night, John Cena and Cody Rhodes are going at it. Most likely Sunday night, too, because that's the main one. Cody Rhodes ain't doing it. All right, WWE, he's not, guys, he's not better than John Cena. He's not the future John Cena either. He's just Cody Rhodes. That's it. He won his championship. He finished the story. He made Dusty happy in heaven. Dusty, he's looking down. He's crying. He's happy. He's fucking got it. He did it. That's it. You don't need more, Cody Rhodes. You don't need more than that. You don't need to be the next John Cena. You're not going to be 17-time. You're not going to be 18-time. Motherfucker, if anything, this should be Randy Orton we're talking about. Fuck that, WWE. I'm not taking that shit in the series here, trying to put Cody Rhodes over. The Jim Cornette's coming out of me here.
Just how much the Netflix premiere meant for the company. And Cody, I think, just feeling as if he calls himself the quarterback of the team, he wanted to be a part of it.
Cody wants to save Cena.
I know.
Like, Cody wants it, like, they all square up to fucking, take Cena down, and Cody runs in and fucking...
Okay, so they're talking about it here. They're talking about it here where, it's pretty much the build-up for the WrestleMania that we just watched in Vegas, where it's going to be Cody versus Cena, but now we're talking about, okay, so what is going to be the story? And I guess Cody's original idea was he wanted to save him, right? Babyface superhero Cody Rhodes over here. He wanted to, I guess, save John Cena, have some kind of scenario where John Cena was being attacked, and it was going to be Cody Rhodes and John Cena now maybe versus The Rock and Travis Scott. I don't know, but they're going to talk more about that. Obviously, that didn't happen. I definitely would have liked to see... And I'm not trying to take anything away from John Cena's heel turn. I have liked the John Cena heel character. I thought, honestly, it wasn't the worst decision I've ever seen. I like the character. John Cena started as a heel too, so it kind of works. It's not really a far cry from anything that he's ever done. But when we're talking about, what I would have liked to see for the build-up of WrestleMania in Vegas, I honestly wanted Cody Rhodes to accept the proposal from The Rock. I wanted Cody Rhodes to originally turn heel and have it be kind of a Cody Rhodes heel turn where it was, Cody and The Rock versus John Cena. I think maybe that would have been interesting. Obviously, that didn't happen. But I have liked the John Cena heel character. Cody Rhodes, his original idea, what they're talking about right now, he originally wanted to save John Cena, so I don't really know how Cody Rhodes' long-term thinking moving forward would have worked into this kind of storyline, because it's not there's not a lot of storylines in history that have worked where it's been a babyface versus a babyface. Obviously, you can do that, but at some point, the audience is going to choose. Who do they want to be that villain? Who do they want to be the bad guy? I don't really know what the fuck Cody Rhodes is thinking here, but we're going to find out.
We never said, obviously, when Big Show's in company history, Cody is a fucking franchise player. Every reason to have him on the show. We don't have a half a dozen heroes who are just, everybody's got stories, so it's like, we're going to chuck Judgment Day out there, you know, it's...
Also, and I get Cody's point of view, but also...
And this is another thing I don't like, too. This is the people that they're hiring as writers and people that are coming up with ideas. I mean, they don't even have a good idea. You know what I mean? Triple H is sitting here asking them, you know, stuff about WrestleMania. WrestleMania season is coming up. I mean, this is right around the corner. And it's like these guys that are getting paid a decent amount of money to come up with some of these ideas are sitting here face to face with Triple H right across the fucking table. And they're just like, I mean, what are we going to do with Cody? There's not like a dozen heels that we have. Are we going to throw Judgment Day out there? Are we going to work Cody Rhodes at Judgment Day? I don't know. Is that what we're going to do for WrestleMania? And that's really one of my problems. If WWE is watching this, anything from WWE, anybody that even supports me as a writer or anything, that's a lot of the problem that I have with WWE a lot nowadays, guys, is a lot of their writing team and a lot of the bullshit that they pull. It's shit like that, where, you know, people are getting paid a decent amount of money and they just don't fucking care, or they just don't have good ideas. And they're kind of at a crucial point here. This is WrestleMania coming up and they don't really fucking know what to do with their characters and their roster.
So, like, first night we see John Cena, and
I'm actually going to put my phone on the charger here for a few minutes just so it doesn't die at any point.
Like somebody's gonna save him.
And here is the episode right there. Don't want to get...
we want back here.
This might not be a good idea.
You have to be ready for the element you can't control, and that's the audience.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Okay, no charger for now. We're at 86%, so it's still good.
I think whatever a
We're still
performer
watching.
does, they have to invest in it, and the roster's pretty deep. We got a lot of all-stars.
So right now I have Punk and Seth, Roman and Solo, Rhea and Liv.
Okay, now this is interesting too. You can see how they have their storyboards. You can see how they have pretty much whiteboards, chalkboards. Everybody's got pieces of paper here laid out in front of them. And these are pretty much your layouts for your storylines, okay? And Triple H is talking about, okay, this is what I got for the premiere. And essentially you're building off of that premiere. But you're, like I said, you're focusing on each of these storylines, and this is what you're building off. But like I said, each thing, any idea that anybody is going to have, or anything, like I said, that is going to be a booked match, it's got to be ran through Triple H, and I'm pretty sure he's going to give it the final okay, because he's going to be the one that's going to be like, okay, that's a good idea, and we're going to book that. So even if these writers or anything did have a good idea, they have to get that okayed from Triple H, and at the end of the day, he's going to be the final one that gives it to us.
This is so big you would want to give them time.
Guys, I just want to say, we are 12 minutes into this episode, and I've already been talking for an hour. So, yeah, you can pretty much tell how passionate I am about this. We're 12 minutes in. We still have 40 minutes to go. And now we're in Florida. Florida, great state for pro wrestling.
Taxidermy stuff, so I have a two-headed duck, I have an octopus, a bat, crocodile, I have this little like mosquito. This is like a shrunken head. Like I love creepy artwork and dark colors, and I love all of that stuff. That's why my office looks like this. Technically my name is Demity Bennett, but I go by Rhea Ripley, and that's what everyone really knows me by. Rhea is a goddess name.
Demity Bennett.
And Ripley is from the chick from Aliens, because she's a badass, and I just put them together. Thought it made sense. I'm from Adelaide, South Australia. I watched WWE growing up, absolutely loved it. WWE came to Australia when I was 17 years old, and they gave me a tryout then, but I was too young.
And here's Rhea Ripley talking a little bit more now about her backstory. So WWE comes to Australia, But when they come to Australia, they offer Rhea Ripley a chance to try out, okay? But she's a little bit too young at this time. She's 17. So WWE is really recruiting Rhea Ripley here the second that she's ready to go, right? Because, like, the second she's kind of, like, 18 and whatnot, they're kind of building her to be, you know, the future of the company or the future of the women's division from that point forward.
Ended up coming back when I was 20 and they had another tryout, so they invited me to that. And yeah, I mean, the rest is pretty much history.
First came to Australia when Rhea Ripley was 17, ended up coming back again when she turns 20, so about 3 years later, finally offers her the tryout, and she gets the contract.
It's weird describing Rhea Ripley for me because I am Rhea Ripley. It's just like a 10 times version of myself. She's crazy.
Rhea! Riptide through that table!
She's kind of scary, but you're kind of attracted to her at the same time.
Rhea Ripley absolutely possessed!
I like to say that it's the side of me that would get arrested in everyday life. She's just absolutely chaotic and sadistic and manipulative. It's all the sides of me that I don't like to show in my everyday life. I'm always like Demi Bennett right before and I'm like freaking out, and then as soon as my music plays, I'm Rhea Ripley.
Please, YouTube, no copyright.
When that music hits, it's a moment in the crowd, and it's undeniable. She has it. She can be the biggest star in this business for a long time to come.
Yeah, sorry, my dog is playing with this tennis ball. But this is Luna. She's my first child. Barry's my second, and then Bella is my third.
And actually, I mean, it's kind of crazy how we're talking about this now too. But I said, you know, before, you never really got to see more of like a day in the life of these pro wrestlers, or like kind of, you know, how they kind of go about their days when they're not wrestling or not on television or whatever. But this is literally showing you, you know, we're stepping into their homes and we're, you know, sitting down with them, and this is how you get to see them outside of the ring and, you know, kind of get to know about them more as people too.
Barry's always everyone's favorite, aren't you, Baz? And you're the most annoying middle child that I've ever met. Huh? Yeah, you got bad breath too. So the story between me, Liv, and Dom has actually been going for like an eternity. It feels like it. This has gone on long enough. Liv and I, we have been feuding.
I love how we jump ship from the Cody Rhodes bullshit and now we're on to like the Judgment Day stuff. But that's, you know, the Judgment Day stuff has been fine with me. I've actually liked the love triangle that they've, you know, it's worked its magic on me a little bit. At first I was kind of like, I don't know, you know, what are we trying to do with Dom here? Are they trying to turn him into a bachelor? Why does every girl in the Judgment Day have to have a crush on Dirty Dom? And, you know, it's writing and shit like that that's kind of stupid to me. But I will say the rivalry between Rhea Ripley and Liv, and the writing and the storyline, everything like that has been good, because it's really been one of the most entertaining things, I think, last year leading up to this year. Liv Morgan just suffered a pretty bad kind of injury too. It was just kind of spontaneous injury that just happened recently. She's out for a little bit, but her replacement in the Judgment Day right now, Roxanne Perez. But the storyline that they've worked with Rhea, Liv, and Dominic has been actually entertaining, and it's been one of the more entertaining things, I will say, overall, in terms of what they actually have been providing. I think on Monday Night Raw, obviously you have kind of like that whole Judgment Day curtain and everything that's happening, everything that kind of falls under that. And then on SmackDown, I really liked what they were doing with like the Tribal War and everything that was happening with Roman and Solo, and, you know, Roman versus Solo, which she'll probably talk about more later on in some other episodes. This is obviously like 2024 which has a lot of last year's WrestleMania built into it. So, but the Roman and the Tribal War storyline with him and Solo and everything that they did at War Games and Survivor Series, I really like that. So those are a lot of the, more kind of writing sides that I do like and things and ideas that I have liked. But there's a lot of stuff that I haven't, too. What are we doing, Netflix?
For like 3 years. It's been a long time because we started as a tag team. And Dom and I, we kind of got put into this storyline together, which I don't think was supposed to be a relationship storyline. And then Liv Morgan decided to try and steal my family, which she accomplished. Dom turned on me and helped Liv beat me for the Women's World Championship. It was a wild ride. Before that, she ruined my entire life.
And I mean, even things like that, when they try to make, these were things back in the day that were big. I remember when I think it was like Kane put a steel chair around Shawn Michaels' neck. And he fucking jumped off the top rope. And once he landed on the chair, it essentially broke Shawn Michaels' neck. That's kind of what they were going for. But you could see the blood and the overall effect that it had. And it was like, okay, Shawn Michaels is fucked up. That was the type of babyface you could do something like that. And the effect is there. The reaction is there. Everything that you needed. Kane did everything that he needed to do. Obviously, you tell Kane, go out there, fucking put a steel chair around somebody's neck and make it look like you're gonna break their neck, and you know what I mean? He's gonna make it look good. Kane is that type of wrestler, so you had that type of shit back in the day, and this is something that just happened recently with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley puts the steel chair around, the shoulder area, the arm area of Liv, and she steps on it, and it's kind of like, did she break the arm? Did she break the shoulder? Obviously, that's what they're going for. But how many people, looking back on it, how many people really remember that even affecting Liv's character? Or how many people even remember that kind of being something that was really, damaging or really, just brutal and something that kind of hero had to overcome or something. It's like how many people look back on it. Now, like I just said, Liv did suffer a real-life injury, so she is real-life injured, her arm. But for storyline purposes, how many people kind of remember Rhea Ripley trying to break Liv Morgan's arm and successfully doing so with the steel chair? It just wasn't one of those moments that had the same effect, I think, that they're looking for. And that's the type of stuff that we were talking about earlier. You have to have certain characters where when you want to do stuff like that, it's going to have that same effect and that same reaction.
At work. And she's sort of sucker attacking you, and
Did you want me to sort of fight back a little bit or just take it?
depends on what she's like. What is she throwing? Do we know?
And that's where my whole year kind of changed. She threw me into the wall, but I have a third grade AC sprain. I full on broke character as well in that scene. My collarbone and my shoulder blade got ripped apart. She had to kick me into the second wall, but my shoulder was already stuffed up, so I'm holding my arm. But Liv gets on me and starts punching me in the shoulder, in the bad shoulder, and I was like, somebody please get her off me. Bruh, I felt it. As soon as I hit the wall, I grabbed it and I was like, oh shit. I threw myself into the wall. On the bump. 30-degree separation. That's what I have. So I had a grade 3 AC sprain, which means that my shoulder blade and my collarbone aren't connected anymore. The only way to get them back together is through surgery, and I opted not. So like it was either surgery, have a scar, or no surgery, have a massive lump in your shoulder. So that's why I have this bad boy. So it looks pretty gnarly sometimes, but it's just gonna be there until I decide to fix it if I do. Because I can still go back and have the surgery. I just don't want to have that extra time off because it's going to be 6 months compared to 3 months.
I know this.
And with Rhea Ripley actually talking about injury, also something I just want to add to that. You know, back in the day when we had like the 80s and the 90s pro wrestlers, when they got injured, they really tried to cover that up and they really tried to hide it because your paycheck was on the line. You know, you were working every week for your paycheck and your money, and if you were injured, that meant you weren't wrestling and you weren't going to have a match. So any time that you were injured, any little thing that you were feeling, you really tried to cover it up, and that's why, you know, unfortunately, like I said before, a lot of things like drug abuse with painkillers and other kinds of narcotics come into play. Obviously, alcohol, all these types of things to kind of numb the pain or whatever come into play because, again, a lot of these wrestlers, when they were on the road and when they were trying to work these shows, that was your pay. You know, that was all your money, and you weren't getting paid massive amounts like they are nowadays. A lot of these wrestlers have had their contracts changed, thankfully, due to people like Triple H and, you know, actually getting good paychecks now. I think even back when I was growing up, like even wrestlers like John Cena or Batista, like the most amount of money you could get from a Vince McMahon, and this is probably like, I mean, let's say like 2005, 2006, probably around that time, like the most amount of money you could get is like $1 million contract. So if you had $1 million contract, let's say for 1 year, you know, they want to sign you for 5 years, that's $5 million guaranteed. You know what I mean? So that was like the highest amount, but now they're making way more. And if you're injured, obviously they're gonna work with you. They're gonna see, you know, how serious it is, what can be done, what can't be done. Some things can be moved on, though. You know, you can move on from certain things, like Rhea Ripley is saying. You know, she opted to not do the surgery on her stuff and just leave her arm the way that it is, her shoulder basically the way that it is. And that's another thing too. You know, a lot of these wrestlers, it's their decisions what to do with their bodies and their health, like we've talked about before. You know, if they ever want to, I'm sure Triple H has offered, hey, Rhea, we'll take care of you. We'll help you with the shoulder surgery and however long it takes for you to come back, you know. Obviously, Triple H wants her to still have a spot on the story and in the roster and whatnot, but if it's Rhea's decision to not do that and still remain, then that's her decision.
Do not freak out. We will make this into something wonderful, okay? Sorry.
I'm sorry.
One thing I really love, though, nowadays, we have Diamond Dallas Page, who's been doing DDP yoga, which has been a fucking great recovery system for a lot of these pro wrestlers that have just had a lot of these terrible things happen to them. Maybe one day we'll see Rhea Ripley doing some DDP yoga for her shoulder. You never know.
Sorry, man. Physical business. Shit hits everybody. Nobody walks out unscathed. No shot. All right.
My entire life I've done this, so I can't say it's any harder now just because I'm older, you know? It's always been tough. Suffering is relative, it's situational, so now I think the landscape is changing so much, and that excites me. So I'm looking at that as like, this is uncharted water. I've never been more excited. My name is Punk, CM Punk, Punker, Cookie Monster, Pepsi Phil.
Pepsi Phil!
Black Phillip. My government name is Phil. Yeah, it's a white accountant's name.
I started wrestling in my friend's backyard in 1993. I started wrestling professionally in 1997. I was always drawn to punk rock because if there was a rule of punk rock, it's be yourself. I have a Hall of Fame career I could put up against anybody.
Oh my God! CM Punk is leaving with the WWE Championship!
But if there was one thing in the sport I have not accomplished, it's main event in WrestleMania. Initially, Hunter and I clashed because I was a main talent roster full-time the same time he was a main talent roster full-time. So there's that competition. And a lot of that generation was looking down at kids like me saying, oh, you're here to take my spot. Well, I'm not going to let you, or at least it's going to be a fight. Halfway through my career here, he becomes Office, and now I'm like, fuck you, you can't tell me anything.
I always felt like my job was I'm in between Office and the talent, but Punk would never let me assist, and he would then sometimes attack me. Like, you know, there would be moments where we'd have a meeting and he'd come at me and I'd leave there thinking like, this little motherfucker. Punk didn't trust me, and I didn't trust Punk.
So now, obviously, we're getting into the CM Punk segment here, into this episode 1 here of the new era for WWE Unreal Season 1. Now talking about CM Punk and Triple H, a little bit of their relationship, a little bit of their rivalry, and just their chemistry throughout the years. And I'll say this right now, I've always been a fan of CM Punk as a pro wrestler. I've watched a lot of his stuff, guys, from fucking... I'm pretty sure, you know, I've seen Ring of Honor. I'm pretty sure he was in OVW, ECW when he first joined the WWE. And then obviously moving forward within his career, I've seen everything else. One of my favorite actual CM Punk moments, there was a throwback episode of Monday Night Raw. It was like an old school Raw in Buffalo, New York. John Cena and The Rock were here. The Rock was actually here. He cut a promo with John Cena in the ring because it was leading up to WrestleMania 29, I believe. WrestleMania 29 in New York. And so The Rock was here. John Cena was here. They were doing their whole promo and their rivalry. But the main event that night was a fatal four-way. Sheamus versus CM Punk versus Big Show versus Randy Orton. And the winner got to challenge The Undertaker at WrestleMania 29. Winner of the match was CM Punk. At the end of the match, CM Punk is there. The Undertaker comes out. And the show ends. And that was literally like one of my favorite CM Punk moments because it was like, I wanted him to actually win the match and challenge The Undertaker because I thought that that was a great choice at the time. So he won the match, and I didn't expect The Undertaker to be in the building. So the fact that The Undertaker even just came out and showed CM Punk, hey, you know, I'm here, I'm ready. That was like a pretty cool moment. But, and interestingly enough, in 2011, there was a Night of Champions in Buffalo, New York. The main event that night was CM Punk versus Triple H. I watched that on pay-per-view. I wasn't in the arena that night because that day I actually went to a Buffalo Bills game. And that was the last time I ever went to the Buffalo Bills Stadium. My dad took me. He ended up getting tickets. It was the Buffalo Bills versus the Oakland Raiders, now the Los Angeles Raiders. But it was either go see the Buffalo Bills game or go watch Night of Champions 2011. Main event that night, CM Punk versus Triple H. I opted for the Buffalo Bills game because I don't get to see a lot of fucking Buffalo Bills games. And that was the last time I ever went to the arena. So that's that goes to show you that. But that night, later on, I did come home and I did get to order the pay-per-view. And I did get to see Night of Champions, and I did get to watch the match between Triple H and CM Punk. Ironically enough, that was the main event here in Buffalo, New York, and now years later, we're still talking about it.
I had been on the road 365 days a year for 10 years straight. After a while, the wheels fell off.
John Cena, while you lay there, I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest.
And you can say that I have a big mouth and I talked a lot of shit. That doesn't mean anything I said was nothing short of 100% fact.
I'm not on your lovely little collector cups. I'm not on the cover of the program. I'm barely promoted. I don't get to be in movies. But the fact that Dwayne is in the main event of WrestleMania next year and I'm not makes me sick.
This was Phil Brooks talking through the mouth of CM Punk and saying all the...
Now, they have Michael Hayes here talking, and apparently he's... What did they say? VP of Creative? I'll have to rewind this a little bit here because I want to see what his actual title is.
The fact that Dwayne is in the main event of WrestleMania next year and I'm not makes me sick.
Shout out to my man Dwayne The Rock.
This was Phil Brooks talking through the...
Okay, shout out to my man Dwayne The Rock. But yeah, they have Michael Hayes here. He's the VP Creative Writing. So I guess Vice President of Creative Writing, because if you're a writer in the WWE, I guess a lot of your stuff or a lot of your ideas would have to go through Michael Hayes right now. And if he's just not feeling it, or he just doesn't think maybe that's a good idea for Triple H, that also might be the reason why a lot of stuff isn't really fucking working right now. I think Michael Hayes is great. Don't get me wrong. I think Michael Hayes is great, but there also, you know, guys, there also comes a time where you have to kind of move on from old tradition. You know what I mean? And you kind of have to give some new players a chance to play the game as well. No pun intended, Triple H. But Michael Hayes is great, and I'm not saying that he shouldn't have a position or he shouldn't have an important role in the company. He obviously should. But I think if we're saying he's the vice president of creative writing for the WWE, that to me sounds like somebody who, for the writing team, for a lot of the creative decisions of the writing team, is either going to say yes or no. And for me, you know, not to say Michael Hayes doesn't know his shit or that he hasn't been around. He has. But sometimes you also need somebody who's going to know where we need to move forward and kind of what the future needs to be. Really, how in tune is Michael Hayes with a lot of today's generation or a lot of today's audience? Not to say that he doesn't try to invest in knowing what they want or not knowing what they care about or whatever, but at the same time, I think it's better to somebody like me, essentially, who's going to be around the next fucking 30, 40 years. You can kind of learn and teach them, okay, you know, this is what we've done, this is what has worked, and we need to kind of go to a place now that's kind of going to propel us to that next platform or that next place, essentially. And Michael Hayes, to me, has done a great job, but I think in terms of a creative writing, if I'm going to have anybody okaying me or saying yes or no, I don't really know if I want it to be Michael Hayes. I'm just going to be honest with you, because again, I could have a lot of ideas that Michael Hayes just says, you know, I don't really want to do that, or I don't really think that's great. To me, it almost sounds like Michael Hayes is currently like a Vince Russo, who they might have had back in the day. I guess that would have been their VP of creative writing.
Mouth of CM Punk and saying all the things that you weren't supposed to say.
If I didn't take myself off the hamster wheel, nobody else was gonna, and they were gonna work me until I died.
And I mean, just to fucking bounce off of what I just said as well, if I'm saying, you know, I have ideas that Michael Hayes is probably not going to agree with, just think about how much I've complained and I've talked about so much current shit with the writing team and things that I've disliked and things that I don't like. I'm sure a lot of that has come from Michael Hayes too, so there's probably a lot of things from him that I'm just, you know, not on board with either. But
when I left this place in 2014, I was heartbroken. It took maybe 10 years for me to heal from a lot of things. We'd had conversations over the years for me to be able to come back here, and just nothing stuck.
I felt like how he communicated with others needed to change. One time when he and I met, after he had left, this is years later, where there was a conversation about him coming back, I said, still the same dude, won't work. The last time that we met and talked with him, I felt like he honestly was different. It seemed almost like in the phone call we both realized, like, oh, he's different. No, I'm different. Let's give it a shot.
It has been quite the night at the sold-out Allstate Arena in Chicago.
It's fair to say that me returning to WWE is the biggest return of all time.
You want to put a picture of me and you blow up the internet?
Yeah, what do you want to do? Shake it in front of the logo. Go right there. Oh, are you going to point at me? I'm going to point back at you. I don't know if it's ever been done.
Tony Khan, you fucking had it. You had gold in your hands and you let it go. One of the greatest, returns to pro wrestling, I think, was CM Punk coming to AEW. But his return to WWE could possibly overshadow that just because of CM Punk's relationship and his history with WWE. And I think that's why it's had the effect that it has had, because it has been one of those controversial things. Like Triple H has said, years ago, if you would have asked Triple H, can we bring back CM Punk? He said he's still the same guy. It's not going to work. But things have changed. The years go by. CM Punk did what he did with AEW. He had a little bit of a fallout there, obviously, with a lot of their crew and a lot of their staff and overall management. So he came back to WWE, and obviously now him and Triple H are at least on a little bit of a better, understanding of each other and what they want to do together to actually make this entertaining for everybody and provide some quality shit.
He clearly knows he's much closer to the end than he is the beginning. When you get to a certain age, you start thinking about, look, I'm one big injury away from, I don't want to do this anymore.
Looking at myself and my career right now, I think my role on the roster is...
I feel like we need to take another picture.
Yeah?
Like workout and...
I'm the player coach.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Can you take a picture for us? I'm a huge mark for Rhea today.
I love it. For Rhea?
I have years of experience that a lot of people don't have. I have made more mistakes, and I am happy to help them learn from them.
I love you, Jacob. I love you, Punk. By the way, can I get a...
That boy Jacob Fatu. Raw premiere promotional event.
Not just the launch of Raw on Netflix. It is a new launch of WWE worldwide.
Main eventing WrestleMania.
I am so happy that the WWE made this deal with Netflix. It has done tremendous things for them, and I just am so looking forward to the future. Hopefully, like I said, also incorporating SmackDown and some PLEs down the line, because Raw on Netflix has been great. We're starting to get more series like this, where it's like the behind-the-scenes stuff, and I am just so happy that we're starting to do more stuff like this, because we have these kind of opportunities and these freedoms now with stuff like the WWE deal happening with Netflix.
Meant that you were the number one guy in the industry. I'm looking at Netflix like there's only one debut Raw broadcast.
Let's do it.
Start by putting over the match. We're gonna call Seth out. Lift the thing. I'm not doing it again. Gets in your face. There. At some point, boom.
Ladies and gentlemen, CM Punk.
There we go. And I remember years ago too when WWE Raw actually ended up on Spike TV for a little bit of a time period. But it is true what CM Punk is saying. This is the first debut episode on Netflix for Raw. This is the only time that this is ever going to happen. So you want it to be a big night.
It's first night Monday Night Raw on Netflix, one of the most anticipated matches ever. You against Seth Rollins, personal animosity to Sting.
Seth right now looks and sounds like CM Punk from 2013.
I know, you know, everybody else knows. This is your last chance. One of two things is gonna happen. You're gonna self-destruct like you always do, or if by some miracle you have changed and you've got any gas left in this old tank, maybe one day you'll be lucky enough to stand across the ring from me, and then I will expose you for the fraud that you are.
I can't really say that, Seth Rollins is trying to be exactly like a CM Punk from previously before. I just think personally Seth Rollins and CM Punk have a lot of qualities and a lot of similarities about both of them in their personalities that is definitely similar to each other. So that is definitely why I think the rivalry has worked so well between CM Punk and Seth Rollins, because they're so much alike and they're so much kind of like the same person. It's almost like it's bound to kind of work between them because they kind of know each other so well already. Is Seth Rollins trying to be a CM Punk from years before? I don't think so. Like I said, personally, I just think they have a lot of the similar qualities about their personalities. So that's why, to me, the rivalry has really worked between Punk and Rollins so well.
I think to understand, you have to talk about the history between myself and Seth Rollins, and it goes back quite a bit. You're talking about a 16-year-old Seth Rollins came to CM Punk and asked him to train him for free. Now, that entitlement, I think, has carried over into the adult Seth Rollins.
And, I mean, obviously, like CM Punk just stated, when they were both coming up and independent pro wrestlers and still on the indie circuit, a still very green Seth Rollins, comes up to CM Punk and approaches him for training. So you can definitely see some similarities in their wrestling style, because Seth Rollins was trained by CM Punk.
Claim to do those things because I wanted to thank you. I recognized that that 16-year-old kid had all the potential in the world. And in my absence from this company, Seth did a fantastic job of filling that vacuum. But really, put the starters back.
I really just want to say, too, before we move forward, we have about 30 minutes left of this, so it'll probably go into like a 2-hour episode here for this video. But one thing I do just want to add to this real quick. It's so great to just see moments like that where it's like, okay, at one point in time, Seth Rollins, he had no success, he had no fame, he had no fortune. He just walks into a wrestling school one day. CM Punk is there because he loves pro wrestling and he wants to do a career in this. And two of these guys who ended up in this place so long ago are now together in the biggest wrestling promotion in the entire world. And I just love things like that because as a wrestling fan, it's like you do this with other people who love it and other people who want to get into it for the same reasons as you almost, because it is almost like a family. And to kind of do this with so many people that you started so long ago when you had nothing, or there was no real guarantee of ever being successful or ever being famous, right? And now you both are in the biggest wrestling promotion in the world, making tons of money. I love to see things like that because it's like you see so many pro wrestlers who do this for whatever reason, but so much of us are like a family. And to really be doing it for that long and to see, things like that happen, I really do enjoy.
Second string got to sit back down on the bench.
I got nothing left to say. I don't need a mic. I don't need a microphone. I'm right here, right now. 216 begin. It's my time now, baby.
In 19 nights, the series premiere of Monday Night Raw on Netflix.
Yeah, so before we get into anything deeper than that, let's talk about gorilla position. You know, years ago, when TV production started to become a thing, Gorilla Monsoon, very famous wrestler, he was timing things and controlling things from the area right before talent would walk out to go to the ring. That became known as gorilla position. Gorilla position in today's world, it is the epicenter of everything we do. The show is run from there.
The gorilla position is probably the most important position in the arena.
Have a great show, guys.
You basically control the world that night. Your world, the world wrestling and entertainment is controlled from the gorilla position. You know, the gorilla position is very...
As I talked about earlier as well, how I just love how everything is just this movie production. And everything is timed so perfectly. You're doing it live, right? You're doing it in front of an audience of millions, thousands of people watching you all over the world. It all is because of gorilla position. And this is a position where backstage, you just have certain people watching those cameras. They're going to be telling everybody, you know, that's doing the show what needs to be done so they get it done the right way. And there's only certain people back there in that room, right? Because those are the ones that are controlling the entire fucking show at that time.
Unique. In every arena, it's custom built. However, the inside and the workings of it are the same.
There's primarily 3 tables set up inside gorilla position. Table where and Bruce Pritchard are sitting. There's another table where Billy Kidman, who is our producer responsible for timing out the show and keeping tabs on time.
I'm actually just going to replace
There's one table where and Bruce Pritchard are sitting. There's another table where Billy Kidman, who is our producer responsible for timing out the show and keeping tabs on times. Next to him will sit the respective match producer.
Okay, so on one table, you have Triple H and Bruce Pritchard, who are pretty much the show's producers. Obviously, Triple H runs the entire fucking thing. He's the main booker. Bruce Pritchard is his assistant, right? So Bruce is going to be side by Triple H watching the show. Whatever, you know, they're running ideas by each other. Maybe they want to do this. Maybe they don't want to do this. They'll change things on the fly. And also sitting next to them is their timekeeper, Billy Kidman, so that way they know, are we on time? Are we not on time? Is this match going too fucking long? Is it too short? What needs to be done? I guess
they're responsible for timing out the show and keeping tabs on.
I guess sometimes the timekeeper is maybe watching the match and not the clock, because sometimes that doesn't work out too well. But Billy Kidman, you gotta focus on the clock here, buddy.
Times. Next to him will sit the respective match producer.
And then you have a match producer. Okay, so what that basically sounds like to me is somebody that basically helps the wrestlers during the match basically figure out what they want to do for the match. Okay, how's it going to end? How are we going to start? Certain spots in the match. These are all things that the wrestlers are probably going to talk about with the match producer. So that way the match producer runs it back to Triple H, vice versa. Anything that needs to be said or changed, whatever. But usually if you have a match producer, they're going to be able to give you the green light or the red light on if you can do it or you can't do it. But it really just sounds like somebody to me who's going to be in that room, especially because they know essentially how that match is going to be played out. Or they have to know how it's going to be played out.
As a producer, I'm basically the liaison, if you will, between the talent and the heads of creative. Stay tight.
And Chris Park is their current WWE match producer. So never have heard of Chris Park until this point in time, but there you go.
Right here, he'll convert this over. Nice.
All of our producers are former in-ring talents. So, for example, Chris Park, who was known as
Now it makes a lot more sense. Chris Park is the Monster Abyss. from TNA Wrestling, and obviously I've heard of the Monster Abyss. Just have never heard his real name, Chris Park, and I never really connected the two until now. But essentially, I guess, yeah, the Monster Abyss is still working in pro wrestling, which is great to see, and he's working for WWE in their producer division, and he's a match producer for them. So, like I said, it really looks like, from his point of view, you know, when he's watching a lot of these matches, he's kind of saying things, or, you know, maybe telling the wrestlers, okay, you know, we can do this, we can't do this. It's a lot of his decision on if it's going to be a good idea overall for the show. Obviously, I've talked about before, you know, in a match, you don't want to do a lot of things that other matches have done before. You don't want a lot of the same spots. You don't want to be doing a lot of the same moves. You want things to definitely be different. You want the matches to almost, you know, be better than each other, right? It is almost like a competition. Some matches should try to be better than each other. Your main event should be the main event for a reason. But if you're going to do something, you know, you have to run it through the match producer, because maybe somebody already has that idea, or maybe they're going to do something in a match where it's like, it's still a similar idea, like they're using the announce table later on in the main event, so you can't really use it in your match if you wanted to. Shit like that.
Another match producer is Bobby Roode.
Bobby Roode. Wow,
Michael
a lot
Hayes
of TNA match producers here. They got Michael Hayes, obviously, as well.
The Fabulous Freebirds is our longest tenured producer. And Bruce Pritchard.
Michael Hayes and Bruce Pritchard, I don't know. I mean, for the creative team, though, this is the interesting thing about it. You have Michael Hayes and Bruce Pritchard, who are the longest tenured, right? They've really been in the WWE producer room for the longest time now, years and years. Vince, now the Triple H era. And then you have some creative side from, like, TNA, where it's like Abyss and Bobby Roode. And it's just so interesting to me how, because TNA at one point was never really more successful than WWE. Not to say that Abyss or Bobby Roode don't have a great mind for wrestling or a great mind for producing wrestling or anything like that. It's just so interesting to me how, you know, your current state of producing for WWE when it comes to the creative side of things, you have Michael Hayes, who I really don't care for, and Bruce Pritchard, who I really don't care for. I mainly want to do away with them just because they have been around for so long, and I think we kind of need a change in the future. So you kind of need to invest more in your future of who's going to be, you know, your next 20, 30, 40, 50 years kind of creative side of things. Teach them, train them, and let them show their ideas, and let them kind of now do what they need to do creatively to be able to kind of change whatever needs to be changed. But on the flip side to that coin, you also have TNA now on handling a lot of the producing for, like, this WWE current stuff, which is, like, really fucking strange to me, because it's like TNA for a long period of time was not doing the best creative stuff either. So it's like, I don't know, you know, it's just so weird to me how they're going to say, like, your main producers, like, these are our main, you know, when it comes to the creative thing, these are who's going to fucking put it out there. This is whose names are on it. And these who are going to put it out there, these who's going to approve it. It's Bruce Pritchard, who I don't really care for, Michael Hayes, who I don't really care for, and then you have the TNA creative side of things with Abyss and Bobby Roode. It's just so fucking weird to me, like I said. And I don't hate these guys in terms of, like, creatively saying, oh my god, like, they're the worst, or I just, you know, I just feel like it's so strange how you're still implementing a lot of the old school generation and a lot of the old school mentality and trying to kind of get it over with more modern audiences, or just trying to see what works with more modern audiences. And then with the TNA side, like I said, never really the best when it came to creative things in pro wrestling. But yeah, that is very strange to me.
Richard is the executive director of the creative writing team.
So the mechanics during the match for me, and the reason I'm wearing a headset, is I'm talking to the truck. keeping them about 10 or 15 seconds ahead of what's going on in the ring, so that the cameras capture the story that we're trying to tell. The whole story is we want to catch Punk looking to the top of the cage for this last one. Punk's eyes. Yeah, there it is. That is a great shot. Another thing that I'm doing on that headset as well is I'm talking to the referees. The referees can hear me. We need to go, Spider. We need to go.
Get him there quick.
I called him.
The producers are talking to the referees.
All right, stay with Jacob. We're always going to meet him with a chair that he's pulling from behind timekeepers.
It's a whole nother world in my earpiece. So the fans, you guys are seeing just two wrestlers wrestling, you know. But in my ear, I'm listening to at least, in a match, like 5 different things.
Jacob okay?
Everybody's good. He's selling.
If the talent needs to pick up their energy, needs to have more urgency, needs to slow down, let something breathe, whatever that instruction is, it goes right through the ref.
Be careful. We're swinging the chair near the fans.
Rock, be careful.
And that's another thing too that I hate so much that they do currently. I've complained about it so much in the past. They'll have moments where the wrestlers just decide to fucking take the fight out into the audience, and now they're fighting through the fucking entire arena, and it's just so fucking stupid because it happens so frequently and so much, it just loses its effect. But literally, Braun Strowman is swinging a chair here out in the audience, and it's like they're trying to tell them, like, Braun, like, be careful, like, don't fucking hit somebody. Like, obviously, like, that's what I mean. Like, shit like that is just so stupid because, again, if something does go wrong, you're right in the middle of innocent people, and now they're kind of running that risk pool because you might fucking swing that chair the wrong way and hit somebody that you don't want to, and now you got a fucking lawsuit on your hands, WWE. That's another reason why I don't really like fighting out in the audience too much. It's such a stupid fucking thing that they do, and they do so much of it. I don't fucking understand, but it's such a fucking stupid spot in so many of their matches. But again, you know, the main thing for the referee to do is really be that communication piece from the backstage area to the in-ring area, because they're really that entire communication and trying to tell backstage, you know, really trying to send these guys home and do what he has to kind of relay that information and end the show and end on a good note. But Bruce Pritchard is standing there the whole time watching the cameras, watching him. And when he's told, you know, we're going to finally fucking end this thing, he could care less about anything at that point anymore. So like I said, I just don't really care for Bruce Pritchard that much. I know he's on a time schedule and shit too, and you got to meet those kind of requirements. But like I said, man, you should really just be happy that at the end of the day, the match finished. It was successful to your audience. The people in the building had an entertaining night. You fucking probably made a profit, more than likely, right? Those are the things. Nobody got injured. Nobody got fucking seriously injured. Those are the things that you should care about. But yeah, I don't really care for Bruce Pritchard's attitude once he's kind of in that gorilla position.
Man who's defined so much here in WWE over the past 20 years. A match years in the making has come down to this. 2 men, both 5-time world champions, physically exhausted. Rollins able to scale to the top rope. He's got Punk where he wants him. Superplex, roll through by Rollins. Look for the Falcon Arrow. Punk, DTS, go to sleep.
And I think he was out. Just so happened to fall right back on the CM Punk's shoulders.
Punk trying to muscle him up. He does! A second go to sleep! CM Punk wins! Here's your winner!
What a fight! What a night!
Help get Punk to his feet. You can go off the air as he's getting him up here, Brian.
Official Rod Zapata.
At least Chris Parker, Brett Abyss, actually, you know, trying to do everything he can to still provide a good match for everybody. But yeah, just, you know.
Bruce, I'm sorry we went over. We know it was 2.5. We cut out a bunch of shit. We cut out the Anaconda Vice. And
It was overwritten, it was overproduced, it was over everything else. It's fine. It was a great show.
yes, sir.
And here you go, you know what I mean? And Chris Park, Abyss comes to him afterwards and says, you know, I can't tell you how many times he's apologized. I mean, you guys can probably hear the audio. He said it more than fucking 5 times here. And, you know, what's Bruce Pritchard's attitude about it? Well, it was overproduced, it was overwritten, it was overtimed. It's fine, it's whatever, you know, he just doesn't care about anything else. The thing that he wanted didn't happen, so everything else is just fucking whatever, you know what I mean? So it was overproduced, it was overwritten, it was overtimed, whatever Bruce Pritchard's excuse is at that moment. But like I said, I just don't really care for his attitude, especially when somebody like Abyss is trying to obviously apologize, and apologize numerous times, you know, for the mistake, and just say, hey man, I tried to edit shit out and cut shit out and really, you know, still give people an entertaining match. And you know, like I said, Bruce Pritchard, not really. I don't think Bruce Pritchard and Michael Hayes should be working with TNA creative producers and shit, you know what I mean? That's why it's all very strange to me. That's why I'm talking about it the way that I am. But yeah, I think there definitely needs to be a change down the line if we are talking about it now.
Thanks, Bruce.
William Regal is there. Why don't we have William Regal as a fucking producer? Like, those are the things I'm talking about. Like, we should be having people like Paul Heyman, The Undertaker, William Regal. I don't want to see fucking Bruce Pritchard and Michael Hayes and, you know, the TNA creative producers anymore. That's not really the shit that's kind of working for me. I do want more of the creative minds and the geniuses of Paul Heyman, The Undertaker, William Regal, people who actually know what is going to work for the WWE audience. And I want to see them, you know, put their ideas out there and run with it. Obviously, we know what Paul Heyman did with ECW. It would be really interesting to see Undertaker and William Regal in more of those producer positions as well.
I'm not. I want to make this man happy, that's all. Is he mad at me?
No. Make me happy. You be happy with yourself.
I am.
I think I feel way better than I'm supposed to. But I'm also high on adrenaline right now, so it's...
And, like, what kind of shit is that, too? Like, I mean, Abyss is standing right there. He's in a room with grown-ass men. William Regal is kind of trying to, you know... he's kind of trying to intervene between the situation between him and Bruce Pritchard. And, you know, Abyss is just like, is this dude mad at me? Like, is he gonna be okay? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just shit like that where it's like, yeah, I don't really think this is gonna work. You're standing in a room with grown men, and he can't even really face the situation as a grown man. And Abyss is just kind of confused too. He's asking William Regal, like, is he mad at me? Like, should I apologize more? I don't know what the fuck. Like, Bruce Pritchard definitely, I don't know, man. I don't think creatively I could really get along with him, but...
it's a process. So once I calm down...
Like I said, when you stand in a room with grown men and you still can't fucking, you know, figure out your differences or, you know, talk to each other like men, I think there's a problem there, Bruce Pritchard. Like, you should fucking, you know what I'm saying, really, really check yourself, actually.
Sure, I'm gonna feel all the bumps and bruises.
What's my name?
If you grow up loving wrestling and watching, you want to be that guy. You want to accomplish the boyhood dream. You want to be those guys who are picked and put in that position. And I was tonight.
And that last match gets done, and you sit back in your chair and you go, man, that was awesome.
And that's pretty much going to do it for episode 1 here of WWE Unreal.
The opportunity has never been bigger for talent to create a moment for yourself no matter what we give you.
Thank you so much for everything. Thanks for that. I really appreciate it.
That's fun. Yeah. That was fun. Wasn't jealous at all.
I love it, honestly. I love this new series. We're definitely going to keep on with it. And we're going to keep watching the entire remainder of Season 1.
To allow you to spread your wings. And if you hit it right, and that connects with people, we're going to run with it. and you always have the opportunity to get yourself to that next level.
You always have the opportunity to get yourself to that next level. Like I said, everybody, thank you so much for being here with me and checking out this new series here on Netflix, WWE Unreal Season 1. That was Episode 1, New Era. Like I said, my entire love and passion for pro wrestling comes from writing and booking. Always have wanted to do it myself. So I don't know tomorrow if we're going to do a follow-up episode to this. We might not. If we are, it's going to have to be pretty early. But we might do Episode 2 tomorrow. If not, I know Thursday I'm going to be watching Season 2 of Twisted Metal. At least 1 or 2 episodes of that. I'm not doing a watch-along or anything to that on the channel. Friday, I definitely want to do another episode to this, WWE Unreal, so that's definitely happening. And then Saturday and Sunday, we have SummerSlam. 2-night event. Not doing a watch-along to that on the channel here either. The entire reason we're doing WWE Unreal, the watch-along series for this, is because of the 200 subscriber goal recently reached. So thank you so much to anybody who contributed, to anybody who wants to contribute. Next goal, obviously 300, and when we reach that, we're going to be doing something special for that too. I'll have to think of something for that. Right now, that's not really a focus. Like I said, we just did 200, so that's why we're celebrating with this watch-along series here with WWE Unreal. But I definitely appreciate everybody for checking it out, anybody who took the time to check out this video, anybody who wants to check out any of the other videos or content on the channel. I definitely appreciate it, and it means a lot to me. If you are interested in hearing any of my music, it is all available on my Instagram at OVODemonic. And thank you so much again, guys. Until next time, take care. Peace, God.